Let's talk about flag burning. Let's talk about singeing cloth. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things about flag burning. Let's talk about flags. Let's talk about flags. What? What's the matter? Oh, come on, it wasn't that bad. Alright, I won't sing anymore. Jeez. Well, maybe one more. Oh, jeez. Guess he was serious. Well, Trump really stepped in it this time, didn't he? This tweet came out. Nobody should be allowed to burn the American flag. If they do, there must be consequences. Perhaps loss of citizenship or a year in jail. Oh, Jesus Christ. Alright, look. Burning the flag is an expression of free speech. I'm sorry, Trump, but it is. Now, it's a worthless expression of free speech. There's absolutely nothing constructive about it. You burn the flag, you think you're being edgy or something. You're not changing anybody's hearts, you're not changing anybody's minds. You are just pissing people off because nobody's coming to stop you from burning that flag. Trump, if you actually put this into law, you would have me having to defend people who burn the flag, because now you are taking them to jail and taking away their citizenship over doing something that they should be free to do. And suddenly, burning the flag does become a blow for free speech. Why would you give it that kind of power? I swear with this guy, every step forward, there's two steps back. It drives me insane. So, I got people mad at me. I don't know if you watched my last video about is the alt-right racist, and I linked in Richard Spencer's speech, which was admittedly excerpted by The Atlantic, who is no friend of the alt-right. But I don't think Richard Spencer did himself any good whatsoever. Some of the comments I got, white people, why don't you say Democrats, since obviously not all whites oppressed blacks and some called Republicans fought to free them. Yes, I know that not all white people. Yes, I know that liberals and Southern Democrats oppressed blacks at the time. But, look, if you saw it, you saw what he was saying. He was saying that white people have done great things. And we should be proud of the color of our skin, which translates into the great deeds that we have done. If that's the case, then the bad deeds that we have done are also part of the color of our skin. The point is, don't bring the color of your skin into it. Now, let's say I take it at face value that he's trying to troll people. He's trying to troll the left. Look, you've won. We already won by putting Trump in there. And the big reason why Trump got in was that there was a giant contingent of Americans who were tired of being called racist, who are not thought of, who do not think of themselves as racist, who do not want to hurt anybody, and are tired of the least little bit of criticism being called racism. So the vast majority of Americans, once the election is over, they're going back to watching, the whatever's entertaining. They're going Netflix. They're going to the movies. They're reading comics. They don't want to deal with it anymore. And they'll only catch the news in snippets. And what do they catch? They catch this guy of the alt-right, which they've probably heard about. They've probably seen this alt-right people. And maybe, say, hey, I think these guys may have had a hand in the election I'm hearing. Let's see what they got to say. And this is what they see. They see the guy doing a Roman salute, looking like a Nazi, yelling, "Hail Trump," talking about how white people are amazing, talking about skin color, talking about race. That if you really want to graduate to the upper class, if you want to go and be a force for change in this world, now that you've won, you got to understand what you're up against. These leftists aren't going to change their stripes, and certainly the journalists aren't going to change their stripes. And if you give them a meal like that, they're going to tear you to pieces. And people are going to see that, and they're going to just assume. They're not going to do the digging. They're not going to go into the depth. They're not nuts like me. They're not nuts like you who go into these YouTube sites and go diving into different articles about politics and everything else. They're not that. They're going to see this and go, oh, geez, that's not what I voted for. And they're going to tune them out. You know, you got to be smarter, Spencer. I mean, the jokes were not jokes. They were not, if they were trolling, they were not very obvious. They were not well thought out. They weren't funny. And it came across like racist whites reveling in their whiteness. And you can go over all the details that you want. I'm sorry, it was dumb. I don't think, from what I've seen, and I'm going to link his response here, I don't think Richard Spencer is a racist. I really don't. But his speech was asinine. He gave nothing but red meat to the people who are against him. It's time to be smarter than this. Or else the policies and the things we believe in will never be taken seriously. I already went through that with all the Christians and with all the Southern nuts and trying to get past this. Trying to get past this idea that the right is not racist, or at least the classic liberal isn't racist, or criticizing the black culture right now is not racist. When you see that they're shooting each other up and you think that they could be better, things could be better for them if they would make better choices. That's not saying that they're worthless or that they can't. That would be racist. It's saying that they could be so much more. But this kind of stuff that Spencer did, just red meat to these assholes, and he just served it up on a plate. And the people who just don't watch that kind of stuff, that's what they saw. So well done. You want to defend that? Fine. I say, Richard, I think you could do better. I think it's time to start taking the high road a little bit and stop talking about whiteness. I don't want to listen to Black Lives Matter talking about blackness. I don't want to listen to any group talk about their color. I don't want to hear it. It's not a thing you could choose. I want to hear what you're doing, what kind of actions you're doing. I don't want to hear more identity politics. So, want to be mad at me? Be mad at me. I don't give a fuck. You know, that's fine. But this is not helping anything. It's just hurting it. It's just hurting the cause. It's hurting Trump. It's hurting the any of this anti-SJW. If you're an anti-SJW, this does not help you get rid of those people. So don't do it. Don't buy it. Don't believe it. Now let's get back into criticizing these SJWs like we're supposed to be. It's CNN. Under a Donald Trump presidency, sex is about to get a lot less fun. Jesus fucking Christ. Now, I know what this article is about. It's about how we're not going to pay for women's birth control. They're going to have to be responsible for their own birth control and maybe make different choices about their sex life. Too bad. But the audacity of this. Like, we haven't been hit over the head over and over and over and over again about how men have to be taught not to rape, how men are just rapists waiting to happen, how poor women can't stand to be ogled or talked nice to or have sex, and we have to give consent, not just at the beginning of sex, but over and over and over again, apparently during the act. You know, she's totally naked. I'm standing there with a dick harder than trigonometry, and yet with each thrust, I'm supposed to ask, is this okay? Is this okay? Do you give consent? Do you give consent? Do you give consent? And now, all of a sudden, since Trump gets in, sex isn't as fun anymore. Well, fuck. How was it fun before? I just found this very amusing. Finally, as a busy swamp frog, I don't have a whole lot of time to game anymore. Used to a lot. Of course, back in the 80s, I did a lot of the arcade games, and then when computers were becoming into their own into the 90s, I used to collect all kinds of games. But since I had kids, just time is not something I have a lot of. But I did follow GamerGate. And I know I shouldn't read The Guardian, but I came across this article, and it's unfucking believable. What GamerGate should have taught us about the alt-right, the 2014 online hate storm, presaged the tactics of the Trump-loving far-right movement. That's right, you people who voted for Trump are a hate storm. Prominent critics of President-elect should take note. Well, this is why, Mr. Spencer, you don't want to give him any meat. It's understandable that the world didn't care much about GamerGate, the 2014 hashtag campaign ostensibly founded to protest about the perceived ethical failures in games journalism. No, there were actual ethical failures. They were not just perceived. A game developer was sleeping with a reporter to get favorable news coverage. What is there to perceive? It happened. They know it happened. Clearly thrived on hate. Oh my fucking God. Wanting ethics in your journalism is hate. That's what we're saying here. Even though many of those who aligned themselves with the movement either denied there was a problem with harassment or wrote it off as an unfortunate side effect. Sure, women, minority, and progressive voices within the industry were suddenly living in fear. Those Twitter people are saying mean things to me. I can't take it. Get Arnita Sarkeesian on Twitter and tell her to get those stupid alt-right people. Oh, wait, that happened. Sure, there was those who spoke out in defense were quickly silenced through the exhausting bursts of online abuse. Online abuse. Get punched in the face and you'll find out what real abuse is. But that wasn't why people supported it, right? They were disenfranchised, felt ignored, and wanted to see a systematic change. No. What they wanted was journalists to stop sleeping with game developers to get favorable coverage. They wanted honesty in the reporting and ratings of games. That was it. Then what happened was, you feminists came in to the gaming. You saw what male gamers like to play, and you disapproved. And you tried to get us to stop. You tried to tell us that we were wrong for liking the things that we liked. And we understandably reacted to you. And you called that abuse. You came in there trying to force your morality, your ideology onto people who had nothing to do with you. And you wouldn't let it go. And then you say, but we got abused. No, you got reacted to. Is this all starting to sound familiar? Does it remind you of something? If you're discovering the world of angry, anonymous online dudes masquerading as victims, hi, come on in. Some of us have been here for a while. What are you talking about? There's been no more of a victim mentality than feminism. It's been insane. The GamerGate or the anti-GamerGate ladies bitching and moaning about how video games destroyed their lives, how people online, when they would play video games, would say mean things to them, the hysterical whining. You couldn't have been masquerading as victims any harder if you tried. This whole fucking article is projection. The similarities between GamerGate and the far-right online movement, the alt-right, are huge, startling, and in no way coincidence. After all, the culture war that began in games now is a senior representative in the White House. As a founder member and former executive chair of Breitbart News, Steve Bannon had a hand in creating media monster Milo Yiannopoulos, who built his fame and Twitter following by supporting and cheerleading GamerGate. The hashtag was the canary in the coal mine, and we ignored it. Lest we forget, this was an online movement that effectively began because a man wanted to punish his ex-girlfriend. No, it's because they wanted ethics in journalism. Whether or not a guy put it out there or not, there are guys that put out shit about their ex-girlfriends all the time. This was actually something that mattered in the gaming industry, though. It affected it. That's why it became a big thing. Its most notable achievement was harassing large numbers of progressive figures, mostly women, to the point where they feel unsafe or considered leaving the industry. Game developer Zoe Quinn was the original target. Anita Sarkeesian videos applying basic feminist theory to video games had already made her a target. Yeah, when she ever makes a fucking video, she is a scam artist, and a proven scam artist. And she was one of the ones on the Twitter Safety Council that I am certain got a lot of these alt-right people removed off of Twitter. I don't see any of these ladies being removed off of Twitter. They sure as hell know how to block people because they don't want any open discussion. But somehow they are the victims. Like, explain to me how the alt-right people getting pushed and pulled off of Twitter, how Milo Yiannopoulos gets pushed off of Twitter, and Anita Sarkeesian gets put on the Twitter Safety Council, how she is the fucking victim. You guys are just, you're in your own world. It doesn't make any sense. Other than harassment, very little was achieved. Are you kidding? The GamerGate people won. And not only did they win, a lot of the people that were in that movement or got into YouTube and started following the anti-SJW videos that started with GamerGate probably had an effect on the election. What do you mean very little was achieved? Yeah, if you're talking about Anita Sarkeesian's YouTube channel and her games that she put out, you're right. Very little was achieved. Jesus fucking Christ. Many had embraced GamerGate because they felt it wholly matched their ideals. Ideals that were about ethics in journalism. And basically, these are the things I like, and if you don't like it, go the fuck away, but leave me alone. Don't moralize and tell me that I can't look at big butts on the internet. Fuck you. No one in the movement was willing to be associated with the abuse carried out in its name. What abuse? What, people told you they didn't like you on Twitter? People criticized you on Twitter and you couldn't handle it? You couldn't handle it so badly that you had to go running to the UN, Anita, to get them to make Twitter stop being mean to people? Developed a range of pernicious rhetorical devices and defenses to distance themselves from threats to women and minorities in the industry. The targets were either lying or exaggerating. They were too precious. A language of dismissal and belittlement was formed against them. Yes, you had a block button on Twitter. Use it. Safe spaces, snowflakes, unicorns, cry bullies. These things existed. The safe spaces happened. Did you not see them? A woman's... I remember when the first time I saw the women's conference, and they couldn't even clap for each other because they felt that it might trigger somebody, so they had to do the stupid jazz hands. They're so... How is that not a special snowflake? Even when the abuse was proven. Which abuse? Could you cite one for me? The usual response was that people on their side were being abused too. These have become the standard toolset of the far-right voices online. What, to call you out for your bullshit? That's a form of abuse. In 2014, the media's reaction was often weak or overtly conciliatory. It was? I couldn't find any pro-GamerGate stories except on Breitbart, or a few conservative outlets, or the YouTubers that started up to try and defend themselves because they were getting nothing. And lest we recall, the same day that the basic same article came out denouncing all the gamers and their misogynist ways, that was almost word for word exact from one magazine to the other. What are you talking about? Olive branches were extended. Bullshit. But professional lives continue to be ruined. Yeah, if you were unethical in journalism, you got your professional life ruined. If you were a big liar, and you were proven to be, you got your professional life ruined. Too bad. While lukewarm op-eds asked us for come together so we could start healing. The motivations may have been sound, but it's the language Trump and his supporters have used post-election to obliterate dissenting. Who's obliterating your voice? You're here writing right now. What has been obliterated? Name me one person that cannot say what they want to say on your side. Because I can tell you Canada just passed a law saying that if you don't use a special snowflake pronoun, one of 31 I might add, you could be arrested and charged with a hate crime. You got a 1 in 31 chance of not being accused of a hate crime. Who the fuck are you talking about? I mean, how many alt-right people got tossed off of Twitter? Just summarily dismissed. It wasn't progressives. In 2016, new wave conservative media outlets like Breitbart have gained trust with their audience by painting traditional news sources as snooty as aloof. No, they proved you to be liars. They proved you to be liars over and over again. They proved you to be opportunist snake oil salesmen. When you came out with that grab 'em by their pussy quote, that tape from 10 years ago, right at the right time, people saw through it immediately. They saw what it was. And they saw you as the snakes you were. Snooty and aloof, you wish you got away with just snooty and aloof. YouTube stars. In 2014, video game YouTube stars seeking to appear in touch with online gaming communities unscrupulously proclaimed that traditional old media sources were corrupt. Trump just proclaimed that all of you guys were corrupt. It wasn't unscrupulous. This article is unscrupulous. You are corrupt. You are all corrupt, and you proved it over and over again, and you don't learn a fucking thing. GamerGate started because of corruption in the media. And you guys just don't see it. You think it's misogyny. You guys are going down in flames, and you're trying to use gas to put it out. Even now, everything we're seeing now had its precedent 2 years ago. For a long time, we didn't take these characters seriously. Breitbart's Milo Yiannopoulos seemed such a desperate opportunist that we never predicted his rise in prominence, having explicitly stereotyped gamers in the past as overweight and embarrassing. Have you seen every one of the things that's happened on his college tour last year? Did you see how he was being harassed? How he was that you guys stormed the stage? How did you not take him seriously? Death threats, trying to stop him from talking. This has been going on ever since when he first started. What are you talking about? You didn't take him seriously. You did everything you could to destroy him. You took away his Twitter. You took away his verification, and finally you kicked him off Twitter altogether. How did you not take him seriously? A disgraced journalist and entrepreneur who had closed his tech site, The Kernel, due to unpaid debts, leaving the staff uncertain if they ever be paid. He spent the next few years spouting insincere, hateful ideas to a burgeoning Twitter audience who responded to his anti-feminist, anti-establishment invectives. Well, the feminist and establishment hasn't exactly been catering to most people's needs other than your fucking echo chamber. I mean, he didn't say anything that people hadn't been thinking. People don't respond to shit. They're not sheep. They are able to think. People are able to make choices, and people are able to talk back on the internet and tell you what you think, what you don't think. And you guys can't handle it. You can't handle it. You're weak-willed women. You're supposed to be these strong women, but you're not. You can't handle anything. He was eventually banned from the platform after finally abusing a woman who was apparently just famous enough for Twitter to respond. He said in 140 characters something about Leslie Jones in Ghostbusters, and that was abuse. You have taken the word abuse and twisted it into something that's meaningless now. Looking back, GamerGate really only made sense in one way, an exemplar of what Umberto Eco called eternal fascism. Okay, so you guys jump into an arena that you really had no interest in. Most feminists, most women don't really enjoy video games that much. But you saw a woman who was sleeping with a guy and being unethical in journalistic practices so that she could get a favorable rating for her game, and use this as some sort of anti-woman situation. And you started looking into what games guys like, how they liked women that had big boobs and nice butts and good curves, and that they liked the sexualizing. They liked all that because it's fun for them. And you didn't like what you saw. And you went in there and tried to change it and tried to stop us from enjoying what we were doing. We weren't bothering you. You came into this thing and bothered us. And you are the ones who are the fascists. But because we wouldn't respond to that, because we wouldn't submit to your moralizing ways, you call us oppressors. It's fucking unbelievable. So anyway, that was my rant for today. Just a few things that I saw. I'm still working on some other videos, and hopefully Danny the Dingo, myself, and a few other YouTubers are going to get online and do a hangout. So look for that. I'll try to post a link when it goes live on my Twitter. But in the meantime, thank you for watching. Well, this YouTube site has been fun to create. So, there's a Twitter for you there. Why don't you reach me at YodaCon? There's my email. You can reach me at rationalistyoda@gmail.com. If you find a video out there you'd like me to respond to or to take apart, be more than happy to take a look. And know that I'm equal opportunity. And if you like this video, please share it. And for God's sakes, there's a subscribe button. Subscribe to my channel. And if you could tell your friends, look, I'm begging, all right? Just deal with it. I'm just begging you. Just come on, grow the channel. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you.